Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome back to another in-depth review for Marvel Strike Force. Now, we have a Sinister Six character tonight and it's the protector of the bunch. It will be Rhino. So in this video, to let you know if he's worth investing in, we'll have a look at his stats, his abilities, we'll check out his synergies, and then at the end we'll see overall where he places in the tier list. Now, before we jump in and start off with the general overview, just want to mention the fact that on the channel recently I've seen a massive drop in the recommendations that YouTube is actually providing me. It appears to be something like 50% lower than other creators that are covering the game. It looks like notifications aren't going out correctly either. So what I would ask, if you're watching this video and you are enjoying the content on the channel, please take the time to hit the like button, leave a comment, because the more comments you get, that should hopefully drive engagement and get me back on the recommendations, and feel free to share the video as well. But with all that out of the way, let's jump in and have a look at the general overview. Rhino then is a protector class, but like many heroes we've seen recently, I would say he's almost a hybrid of two classes. The other class would be the brawler class there, because he can put out a whole lot of damage. Now when we look at his tags, it's Villain, City, Bio, Protector, Spider-Verse and Sinister Six. So the really interesting one at the moment is the Sinister Six one, and hopefully once we get Mysterio coming out, that will fill out a little bit more, because it does look a little bit underwhelming at the moment in that tag. Now, in regards to unlocking Rhino, I believe it's potentially been data mined, will be coming to Blitz, but for the time being, we've got the event campaign as well. So if you want to get them starred up, make sure to do your 4 refreshes daily for your 50 power course. So that's the overview. Let's now have a look at his stats. We start off here with the offensive stats, and these do reflect the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, that Rhino's almost a hybrid between a protector and a brawler. Because you look at his damage, it's way up at B, so that's certainly high for a protector class. His speed is an E rating, that's down at 90, and generally you'll have that for your protector classes because you want the taunt to be up long enough. However, due to the fact that Rhino's only got a 1-turn taunt, the lower speed does hurt him a little bit from a protecting point of view. Finally, you have his focus. This is way down at an F, but he's not applying any kind of debuffs and he's not cleansing, so this stat is completely irrelevant really. So that's his offensive stats. Let's have a look at the defensive ones. Defensive wise then, as you expect, Rhino does exceptionally good. His health and armour are both up at an A rating. His resistance is a B, so that means it's going to be really hard to cleanse his taunt, and also it'll be hard to apply debuffs to him at all. Finally, you have the fact that if you pair him up with a full Sinister Six team, he can gain an additional 100% max health. So if he was at 7 red star, you've got some points invested in Stark Tech, you run him with a full Sinister Six team, he could actually break 300,000 health, which is absolutely insane. It's miles above any other character in the game. It's really pretty incredible. Now that's all the defensive stats. Let's now check out the abilities, and I'll let you know how high you want to level these during this section. First ability we look at here is the passive, and this is essentially your Magneto counter. It's really obvious how this is set up. So it's called Rhino Hide. Maxed out at level 5 on spawn, you gain counter, you gain 25% max health per Sinister Six ally. On blind, you charge your speed bar by 100%, and on blind you clear 1 negative effect from self and each ally. So Magneto and a Brotherhood team goes first, cast blind on everyone, speed bar fills up on Rhino, and then he'll shake the blind off everyone. And that is really nice, and it made him exceptionally strong. And then Jean was released in the game, and Jean can essentially do the same thing, but she offers a lot more outside that. So for that, I would look at Rhino in a very roundabout, odd way, almost as a budget counter to Magneto, whereas Jean is your premium counter to Magneto, and that will actually be relevant when it comes to placing them in the tier list. But when we look at how high you want to take this, at level 4 you lose 10% max health per Sinister Six ally, so that's 40% health in a full team, which is pretty massive, and you only gain 75% speed bar rather than 100. So this is one that if you're investing in Rhino, you will want to max out. Before we move on from it, I'll just mention the fact that the anti-Magneto factor in it is exceptionally nice, but the blind on other characters, let's say the likes of Star-Lord blinds you, for example, it's not as useful. Yes, you'll fill your speed bar, but you may have other debuffs on your team at that point, and other debuffs that are removed may not be ones that are as useful to actually remove there. So that's just something to bear in mind. It's really, I'm going to say it one more time, I've said it a few times, but this is your anti-Magneto move here. So next up, let's have a look at the basic. The next ability we have here is the basic. This is called Pummel. So with this, you're attacking the primary target for 290% damage, and that's it. So it's really a pretty simple skill here. The difference from level 6 to 7 is 50% damage. It's only on a primary target. Rhino won't be attacking too often due to his slow speed, so this is one you just want to take up to level 6 maximum. The next ability we have here is the special. This is called Furious Charge. It's 4 tons to charge and comes fully charged. With your protector classes and their taunts, you're generally wanting to use them turn number 1 because so many characters now have a lot of damage in that first turn. So with this, you'll gain taunt. You'll clear 1 negative effect from self and each adjacent ally. That part actually conflicts with the passive in a way, because what happens, again, I'm going to mention Magneto, but if you go up against him, you'll cleanse the blind, which means you won't actually have any debuffs on you. So the debuff portion of this, or the cleanse portion of this, is essentially wasted. So it's a bit odd that they have decided to put it on this skill that you normally use turn number 1. But with this anyway, you're clearing the 1 negative effect from self and adjacent allies. You're also attacking primary and all adjacent targets for 350% damage. There's a difference of 60% damage between level 6 and 7. So if you're going in on Rhino and the Sinister 6, then this is one that you will want to max out. And finally with this, this attack cannot be blocked either. So overall, it's a nice ability because the damage portion on a taunt is pretty awesome. However, so many characters now with their taunts offer a lot more. They've either got a 2-turn taunt, or if you're like Colossus, you've got a 4-turn taunt, or they've got the ability to add defense up to their team, something like that, to actually add more survivability to the overall team. And I feel that Rhino doesn't actually offer that. A 1-turn taunt and a cleanse that will most likely not be effective if you're going up against the likes of Magneto. It is a little bit underwhelming, but again, if you are going hard on Rhino, then this is one you will want to max out. The final ability we have here is Stampede. This one takes 5 turns to charge and comes fully charged, so you do have the option of using it turn number 1, and you may want to do that against a full city hero team, but generally you will use the actual taunt first instead. Now with this, you attack primary and all adjacent targets for 380% damage, and the attack gains 20% damage per city hero ally. So against a full defenders team, for example, you'll do 480% damage with this. The difference from level 6 to 7 is actually pretty big. It'll be up to 60% against a regular team and 85% when you go up against a full city hero team there. Now, in regards to this particular ability, the fact that it only hits all primary and adjacent targets, I'm going to mention a character I've mentioned numerous times already, but to get the most out of this, you need to actually drop them in with Magneto to pull all the characters together, and then that means you'll be able to hit all the enemy with the particular team. So Rhino's a character that you want to use to go up against Magneto, and he's a character you want to use alongside Magneto, and I'm actually wondering if in future if we'll maybe get a legendary Dr. Octopus and perhaps he'll pull all the characters together, because it really does look like Rhino needs that to be completely effective. But that is the ultimate, and it's one you would want to max out. So next up, let's have a look at the synergies. So when it comes to characters you can work well with, really don't have the most exhaustive list here. The most obvious choice would be Sinister 6 characters, because they've got quite a lot of synergies going on, and as we mentioned earlier on in the video, if you have him at 7 red star, pair him up with a full Sinister 6 team, his health should break the 300,000 mark, which is crazy. Now, I've also got mentioned down here something I've never put in a video before, but I would say that you could drop him into an arena team. I've not placed specific members because everyone uses different characters in arena, generally based on how high leveled your characters actually are, but it can work really nice in arena because we always see the Juggernaut combination, which is Juggernaut and also Magneto, and this is your way of cleansing the blind that happens in turn number 1. You may get downed after that, but its purpose is really to get rid of that blind so you can then start attacking with your other characters turn number 1. So that's the characters you can work well with in the team mode. You can work well in really any team. So next up, let's have a look at the characters you want to avoid. So we'll have a look now at characters you want to avoid when you're playing as Rhino, or characters you can actually use to shut them down if you're going up against them. Now, firstly we have Daredevil and Punisher due to the fact they do enhanced damage to villains, and yes, the team that Rhino sits in, the Sinister Six, will be effective against city heroes, but they can still do a ton of damage to them if you can work around the kit of the Sinister Six. Now next up you would have Miles Morales. He would work exceptionally nice. He can slow and reduce the speed bar on Rhino, and it will take him an age to get any of his skills. You then have Mordo. I've actually got it mentioned here that you would have to max out the special in Mordo, because if you use the regular special there's a chance you'll only blind them, and that's a massive mistake. If you max it out then it's a guaranteed stun, and that can just completely take him out of the game really. We then have characters that have ability block, and they can all cast it before Rhino can fire off his ultimate, so that would include Ant-Man, Venom and Vision. Vision also has a fence down, which can be really useful because you can't blind Rhino to prevent his damage, but you can cut it in half using a fence down, and that's where Doctor Strange falls in as well. There he's got that on his basic. So they're characters that could help you in regards to taking him down, and characters that you want to be wary going up against. So with all that covered, let's now have a look and see where he places in the tier list. When it comes to placing Rhino on the tier list, he's actually a character that I struggled a little bit with, because what he offers in regards to negating the Jagnito combination is of course exceptionally strong, but we now have Jean who can do that and a whole lot more. You also have the fact that the Spider-Verse strongly needed a protector character for a long time, and all he really has in his kit, he's got the very small cleanse, and he's got a taunt that lasts for 1 turn. The rest of his skills are all based around damage, so he's still not providing them with that protection that I feel that they really need. However, the damage that he does offer for his charges can be really nice as well. So a difficult character to place, but I would say taking everything into account that he just squeezes into the low alpha spot, and with synergies with Sinister Six characters then he would move up 1 slot to mid alpha. Now I'll just mention as well quickly, I actually made a couple of changes in regards to power armor characters, and that would include, it would be Falcon, War Machine and Iron Man. I increased the synergies on them a little bit in this particular video because I hadn't done that since Rescue came out, and she does make the power armor team and those characters exceptionally strong. But back to Rhino anyway, so it's a low alpha character just scraping into that rating, and a mid alpha character with the Sinister Six. Just before we finish up, once again, due to the way YouTube isn't recommending my videos at the moment, unfortunately, if you enjoyed this video, please take the time to hit the like button, leave a comment below. That helps an absolute ton to drive engagement, and feel free to share the video as well. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all again soon.